weekend, the Proud Boys had a demonstration in Portland, Oregon, and they were met with counter protesters. Now, the scene became violent when members allegedly of Antifa started throwing milkshakes and started to attack a writer, he's actually a photojournalist and editor for Quillette, which is a conservative publication. We're about to show you video of what happened to him, and it's truly horrendous. It's difficult to even watch it, but it's important for you to see, how there were people there who did attack in a way that is unlawful and should not happen. But there's been misinformation about what went down that day. So let's take a look at this video, and then I'm gonna break down what type of misinformation we're seeing online.
Yo!
So that was Andy Ngo, and he appeared on reliable sources following that incident, and he had bruises on his face, so he was 100% assaulted. It is unacceptable, and I want to be clear about that. However, conservatives and white nationalists have been pushing this narrative that the milkshakes that were being thrown by the counter protesters included quick dry concrete. There has been absolutely no evidence of that, no evidence. In fact, the Portland Police Department put out a tweet alleging that this was happening, even though they haven't provided any evidence whatsoever of quick dry concrete being used by any of the counter protesters. In fact, Parker Malloy with Media Matters has broken down this story, and Damage Report with John Idarola interviewed her this morning, and I want to share a portion of that interview with you. Take a look.
I had seen that there was apparently an email describing the recipe for this. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So there was an email sent out, which this was forwarded to Katie as well. That said it was basically supposed to be supposedly from protesters preparing for this thing, and it was every stereotype kind of rolled up into one. And it said something like, "Be sure to use soy milk," and it called cops pigs. It was really over the top. And the police specifically said they received that after they put out the tweet. There was violence, and this is not to say anything about the legitimacy of any of that. But the claim that there was cement in milkshakes is unverified and shouldn't be just repeated as truth, because the police did not even confirm it.
Right, so the Portland Police Bureau put out that tweet claiming that there was that quick dry concrete in some of the milkshakes. But when they were asked to provide evidence of that, they failed to do so. Nonetheless, the tweet remains, it's still up online. And there's also been some evidence of members of the police department having some cozy relationships with far-right demonstrators, and I'm gonna give you some evidence of that in just a minute. But Cenk, do you wanna jump in on this?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, the violence from the left in that particular case is so stupid. And first of all, it's the wrong thing to do, period. It's immoral and illegal. And secondly, you lose the moral high ground. And once you open the door to violence, guess who's going to be more violent? The right wing, every time. So you think you're being cute by throwing a milkshake at someone, and in this case it was worse because there was a kicking and the punching. But they then go and kill people in synagogues and churches and send pipe bombs. And because you attack this one guy I don't agree with, it doesn't matter that you don't agree with him. Now the press all over the country is calling it even. They send pipe bombs, you do a stupid ass milkshake, and you lost the moral high ground for no reason.
Yeah,
what a dumb strategy.
It's actually worse than that though, because remember, he's with the press. Now he's with conservative press, but nonetheless, he's there as press. And you're attacking him for being there and covering what's going on. That is unacceptable, period. If you disagree with him politically, that's one thing. But going after someone who's there as press is unacceptable regardless of what their political identity is.
Don't go after anyone. Don't prepare the stupid milkshakes, let alone the kicking and the punching. So yeah, look, now you've opened the door, and of course here comes the ghouls and goblins, right? So in terms of the things that are being made up about it, look, the right wing is always finds a way to be dumber, right? Even if you take the most extreme left-wing person, the right wing's like, hold my beer, okay? So other than the fact that they are massively, disproportionately more violent by an order of magnitude, okay? In terms of the idiocy here, you already won this argument. CNN, everyone else has got you as the victim. But no, you gotta take it an extra step and make up stuff. Now, if you just left it at the police report, I could understand it. The police said, we're not sure, we heard reports about cement being mixed in. Leave it alone, right? Nope, they say, no, the concrete makes it, quote, an acid-like chemical weapon. One of the alt-right idiots takes a picture that a photographer took and says, and again, talking about the concrete being mixed in and how it's quick drying cement and maybe you could turn the organs into stone. And he's like, the guy who took the picture is like, I watched them make it. They put coconut, soy milk, rainbow sprinkles in. And then a lot of them drank it, their organs didn't turn into stone. So stop stealing my picture and stop lying about it.
Right. In fact, Fox News corrected their headline. I should say Fox News changed its headline because they didn't actually offer a correction, which they should have done. So I want to skip ahead to graphic 5 and show you the example. The original headline said, Antifa conservative protests turn violent as demonstrators throw milkshakes of quick dry cement at police and onlookers. They later changed it to Antifa Proud Boys confrontation in Portland turns violent, conservative writer injured.
Yeah, so the second headline is bad enough for the left wing and doesn't at least include a lie. So, I mean, this is, and it's not surprising that you'd have these guys get together and find a way of who could lose a moral high ground quicker, who could be dumber about it, etc. Look, guys, why do you think Dr. King won? He was nonviolent. Why do you think Gandhi won? He was nonviolent. Have you learned nothing from all of those? And so I know there's a lot of frustration in the country, and I know that fascism is on the rise, and Antifa's full name is anti-fascism. But I love that you're anti-fascist. Who's against anti-fascists, right? But when you do stupid things like this that involve violence, you're gonna lose the crowd. And if you lose the crowd and you're the anti-fascist, what are they gonna turn to?
Right.
So it's a bad idea, don't do it.
It's a bad idea, but I also wanna just quickly make a point about why vigilante justice is carried out in the first place. It's when people feel like the individuals who are meant to represent them, in this case members of Congress, aren't doing their jobs, right? So imagine, because I feel it every day. I mean, I know that violence is incredibly counterproductive in actually accomplishing what we want to accomplish. But I feel that frustration every day. Every single time Nancy Pelosi shows her lack of leadership in Congress, you feel that anger and you want to lash out, but lashing out in a violent way, again, is counterproductive. And it does allow the ghouls and goblins to make up this narrative and make the situation seem even worse than it really is. We want progress in the country, and you don't win by throwing milkshakes or punching people in the face. Because then you have this person go on cable news with bruises all over his face, and then you have no moral high ground at all, period.
Okay, last fun thing, on an otherwise horrible story. Ian Miles Chung, who writes for the conservative site Human Events, so obviously nothing true is in that site, said, the Stonewall milkshakes, it's got stone in the name, the concrete. No, it's named after the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, hence the rainbow sprinkles and the soy milk, etc.
Yeah.
And then, but he went on to elaborate that it was lined with quick lime, quick dry concrete mix and produced chemical burns. I love like when they pull stuff out. They're like, I heard somebody said there might be concrete, so let me add colorful details that are just totally made up. Oh, quick dry concrete mix producing chemical burns. Where did you get that from, Mr. Reporter? Yeah.
By the way, since I promised, I do have to just quickly mention, there was a great investigative piece published by Willamette Week, and they uncovered text messages between Patriot Prayer, that is a right-wing group that demonstrates in Portland, and a police lieutenant in Portland. And it shows that they had a very friendly relationship with one another, and I want to give you a few examples. Hundreds of text messages between Portland police and right-wing organizer Joey Gibson reveals the extent to which law enforcement officers talked to and even coordinated with right-wing activists in order to police protests in 2017 and 2018. So Katie Shepard reports the text obtained by WW, that's a publication, through a public records request show that Portland Police Lieutenant Jeff Naya had a friendly rapport with Gibson, frequently discussing Gibson's plans to demonstrate in Portland and even joking at times. So in one case, Gibson even mentions, I'm planning on running for Congress. And the police lieutenant responds with, oh, you're running for Congress? Sweet.
Yeah, so guys, to Anna's earlier point, where vigilante justice comes about when you think that the police won't do anything and you've got to protect yourself. Now, how many stories have there been of the police supporting the right wing as they bring them to LGBT protests, as they bring them to left-wing protests, and then you see in Portland specifically. And then whenever, and these are very progressive cities, but and not all the cops, but unfortunately some of the cops and even the progressive cities are nowhere near progressive. And so when you have a progressive mayor like Bill de Blasio comes in New York, the cops are still crying, like, oh, he won't let us beat the hell out of minorities anymore and stop them for no reason. Oh, I can't believe it. Stop your crying already and actually represent all of the people instead of just the right wing or just the people who you think are in power.